Surprising facts about Pata Seca, the enslaved African breeder who produced 249 children for his master. Slave owners would breed their African slaves in the antebellum United States in order to increase their economic value as property, a process known as slave breeding. The institution of slavery and the notion that black people were inferior and subhuman were both perpetuated through this practice, which had severe ramifications for the black race. The goal of slave multiplication was slave breeding. Slave owners put it into practice by forcing sex between masters and their female slaves as well as between male and female slaves. This sexual relationship was only meant to result in pregnancies so that slaves might be reproduced as necessary stock for commerce. Profit was the only driving force. The slave owners made sure that procreation was encouraged where coercion was ineffective by giving preference to the female slaves who had more offspring. Freedom was sometimes promised to individuals who could have up to 15 slave offspring. In Brazilian history, Pata Seca, also referred to as Roque José Florencio, is a mythical character. He was a famous slave who lived during the 19th century and was known for his amazing size, power, and fecundity. The tenacity and survival of many other slaves are exemplified by Roque's narrative. His terrible life revolved around his role as a breeder, where he was purchased with the specific purpose of siring children for his owner. Brazilian-born in Sorocaba, São Paulo, Seca was born in 1828. Sadly, a landowner by the name of Joaquim José de Oliveira grabbed him and made him his slave. In addition to being made to work in the fields, Pata Seca also had the sad responsibility of being a breeding slave. Pata Seca, who was nearly 7 feet tall, 2.18 meters, and had incredible power, displayed incredible bravery, intelligence, and personality despite these challenges. He actively assisted other slaves in finding safety in the quilombos, the communities established by escaped slaves, and he made multiple escape attempts. Originally from Sorocaba, São Paulo, Pata moved to São Carlos in the first part of the 19th century and became the property of a farmer. He was picked expressly to be a breeder because of his commanding height of 2.18 meters. His only goal was to have relationships with the female slaves, hoping to create a strong labor force with the right genetics. He was completely under the authority of his owner, who had him regularly examined for health issues, fed him well, and treated him like a basic breeding tool. It is unknown how many women Pata had relationships with specifically, as well as how frequently he did so. He is thought to have fathered over 249 slave-born offspring altogether. These children, who were born into slavery like their father, had to live lives of servitude. Some were forced to work on their masters' plantations while others were sold for profit. In addition to his duties as a breeder, he also looked after horses and delivered mail between the farm and the city. Roque was treated somewhat better because he was successful in having a sizable number of kids. His lord even offered him a parcel of land as thanks when slavery was abolished in Brazil in 1888. He was given unique rights. Pata Seca's wife Palmyra was a remarkable woman who understood his quest for freedom. She exhibited tenacity and bravery by standing by her husband during their legal battle. Palmyra was a competent healer in the Quilombo who had a vast knowledge of medicinal herbs and cared for the sick and injured. Together, they bravely defended their territory against colonial forces. After gaining his freedom, he found Palmyra and fell in love with her. 9 children, the nucleus of their own family, were born as a result of their union. On the land that his previous master had given him, he committed himself to building a new life for his loved ones. He was a farmer who ran his own farm, known as Pata Seca. He put up a lot of effort there to produce and market rapadura, a solid type of unprocessed cane sugar. Pata's nickname, Dryfoot, might refer to a variety of things, including his ability to walk on hot ground without feeling uncomfortable or his stealthy demeanor when evading captivity. He is credited with fathering an estimated 249 kids, which is an incredible legacy. While some were the offspring of partnerships with free women, the majority were born to enslaved women who were allocated to him. Despite the difficulties of slavery, Seca had a strong love for his children and taught them how to read, fight, and survive. A large number of his descendants followed in his footsteps, rising to prominence in Quilombos or joining the struggle against slavery. In Brazilian history, the Pata was a representation of tenacity and resistance. He led slave uprisings, rebelled against plantation owners, and sought safety in a quilombo. His bravery established him as a legendary figure of valor. Pata's nickname, Dryfoot, might refer to a variety of things, including his ability to walk on hot ground without feeling uncomfortable or his stealthy demeanor when evading captivity. When he passed away in 1958 at the age of 130, his funeral drew thousands of admirers. He was buried in Santa Eudoxia, where a monument now stands in his honor. Pata's name adorns streets, schools, monuments, and artworks, while his descendants continue to explore their heritage and connect with relatives, preserving his unwavering spirit.